The Dead Thing Complete Horror Story Introduction. In the dusty outskirts of a small desert village in southern Jordan, where the nights are silent and the dunes seem to whisper, there was a house that no one visited after dark. They called it Beit Ormayet, the House of the Dead, not because anyone had died there, but because something was buried under its foundation, something that wasn't meant to be unearthed. Hamza, a 27-year-old schoolteacher, had inherited the house from an estranged uncle. He was newly married, eager to start life away from the chaos of Amman. The village elders warned him. "Don't dig around the well," one said. "Don't disturb the sand behind the house," another added. Hamza laughed it off. He was educated, rational. He didn't believe in jinn stories or desert ghosts. But the desert doesn't forget, and neither do the things buried in it. Rising action in the house was old but sturdy. Hamza and his wife Layla began renovations with enthusiasm. On the third day, he discovered a collapsed corner in the backyard near an old dried-up. Beneath it, half buried, was a box of stone covered in strange, carved markings. Not Arabic, not any script he recognized. He called Layla out to see it, but by the time she arrived, he had already opened the lid. Inside was a bundle wrapped in animal hide, thick with rot. Something inside twitched. Thinking it was just desert insects or a snake, Hamza dropped it and backed away. They burned incense and recited Quran that night, trying to dismiss the unease that crept into their hearts. But from that night on, everything changed. The unseen begins to stir. Layla would wake up crying without knowing why. Hamza began to hear knocking under the floor at night. Soft at first, then louder, more desperate. One night the bedroom door creaked open slowly. There was no wind. Then came the scratching. From the walls, from beneath the bed. Sometimes it was accompanied by a low, wet gargle, like something trying to breathe through rotting lungs. One evening, while sweeping the house, Layla found a clump of black hair in the kitchen sink, long matted, and it stank like grave soil. She looked at her husband, trembling. "You need to return it." The Dead Thing Hamza tried to rebury the box, but the soil wouldn't hold it. The earth rejected it. Every morning, the bundle was back, not buried, but placed on the doorstep, closer to the house. One night, Hamza saw it standing in the hallway. It wasn't human. It was tall, thin, bones protruding through gray skin that looked like stretched leather. It had no face, only a gaping hole where a mouth should be. And from that hole came a whisper, rasping like dried leaves in the wind. "You opened me," Hamza recited Ayatul Kursi aloud. The thing didn't vanish. It recoiled, convulsed, then collapsed into a puddle of blood and sand. But things only got worse. Descent Layla became sick. Her body grew cold. Doctors found nothing wrong, but she whispered in her sleep, ancient words. Words in no language Hamza knew. The whispers filled the house. They came from the corners, from behind mirrors, from the cracks in the ceiling. One night, Hamza woke up to find Layla standing in the yard, barefoot, holding the dead thing in her arms like a child. She smiled, eyes empty. "It wants to come inside," she said. He rushed to her, snatched the bundle, and threw it into the well. He sealed it with rocks, poured salt and vinegar around the edge, and recited everything he knew from the Quran. The village sheikh was called. He came with 3 others. They spent 2 nights purifying the house. They warned Hamza, "You touched what was bound. You opened what was sealed with names older than this village. It cannot be undone, but it can be contained." The final night, things calmed for a few days. Hamza stayed home, caring for Layla, avoiding the backyard. But on the 7th night, a storm hit the village. Strange for the desert. Winds howled, and the power cut off. Hamza lit a lantern, and then the door to the well exploded open. The rocks flew like pebbles. The seals shattered. From the depths, it rose. Not just the dead thing, but many. Dozens of them, crawling, slithering, walking on broken limbs, all eyeless, all whispering. Return what was taken. But he had taken nothing, except curiosity. He grabbed Layla and ran. They drove through the storm. The house vanished behind the dunes. No lights, no sound. Epilogue: a shocking end. 3 months later, Hamza was back in Amman. Layla was recovering slowly. They never spoke of the desert again, until one evening Hamza received a package at his doorstep. No name inside, wrapped in familiar hide, was a head. Not of a person, but something older, swollen, dried, smiling, and beneath it, a note scratched into stone. "We are not buried. We wait."